Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, a podcast that is passing wisdom to the next generation of athletes, coaches, and parents to transform leaders on and off the court. And I'm your host, Coach Furtado. Here is the episode of Coach's Corner, where every Friday I share what I am learning, the wisdom that I am taking in as a coach, also as an entrepreneur, business owner, and what I see. This is going to be a great episode for athletes. It's something I've been thinking about a lot as I prepare for the high school basketball season coming up here in a couple of months, and I want to talk about playtime. Everyone wants more playtime. No one wants to sit the bench. Everyone wants to shoot more shots. So how does one get more playtime and get to take more shots? We have to earn a coach's trust. That is the third principle that I'm going to talk about today. But before we talk about that third principle, we have to go through the first two principles. The first principle that I'm going to say right now, and actually before I even get to the principles, I'm speaking purely in terms of competitive high school basketball. I'm not talking about recreation basketball. I'm not talking about club basketball. I'm not talking about anything else. This is directly for high school basketball players. Number one, before we even dive into that principle, playtime is earned. It is not given. You do not deserve a single minute of playtime, and you need to get that in your head if you really want to understand and have a great season, because everyone feels like, oh, coach, I deserve to play, right? I'm on the team, I deserve to play. No, absolutely not. You have to earn your playtime. And in this video, I'm going to break down a little bit of the intangibles. There's a lot that goes in. This is not going to be, as far as a basketball podcast goes, it's going to be a little generic when it comes to that. But what is most important to know is that your playtime is earned in practice. The way that you practice, okay, shows up in the game. So you win games in practice, right? And games are just really a test, right? If we look at it as academics, games are tests, right? Practice is the classroom, the curriculum, right? Your coaches kind of matters on how well they prepare you for the test, right? How great of a teacher, how great of a coach they are. And of course, I'm sharing my philosophy of coaching, and not every coach is going to share this philosophy, but a lot of these principles will help. So you earn your spot in playtime in practice. So how do I do that? Number one, you need to be at practice 10 minutes early. At least 10 minutes early if you can. If not, right, communicate with your coach. I might be a little late. And then if a little late is 5 minutes early, that's great, right? But you should do your individual skill work, right? So I'm going to talk pretty much solely around basketball. You should be doing, some form shooting. You should be warming up before practice begins. That is 100% your responsibility. It is not your parents' responsibility to get to practice on time. Figure out how to do it. Right? I think you just got to get that in your head. Got to figure out how to be 10 minutes early. Number two, when it comes to practice time, you need to be the first in line. You need to be sprinting. If you are walking from point A to point B, then you're wasting coaches' time. And coaches hate when you waste their time. So make sure that you are sprinting. You're the first one there. You're leading by example. You're giving respect and attention, not only when coach is talking, right, but you're giving respect and attention when one of your teammates has a question, right? And then obviously in practice, you're making sure that you understand the plays, you understand kind of the system around there, So I will share a brief story. I've shared this story, kind of numerous times. The 17th man on my roster last year, he ended up becoming my 9th man on the roster because he was playing great defense. He brought great value to our practice consistently, not just one day. So then he earned more play time than at the beginning of the season. Number two, you want to be a great teammate. And I know this seems super obvious. You're like, of course, coach, I'm going to be a great teammate. But it's so often, most players are net neutral teammates, right? I'm not going to say most players are bad teammates because that's not true. There are a couple bad teammates, but most teammates they're net neutral, right? They just kind of walk through things. They think about themselves. That's it. But if you want more playtime, you have to not only earn trust from your coach, but trust from your teammates. One of the best ways to earn trust from your teammates is to be a great teammate. Be the great teammate first, right? Go give them a high five. Celebrate them for how well they're doing. Pick them up when they need support and encouragement, right? What's your body language? When you're sitting on the bench, are you encouraging your teammates, or are you talking to your teammates on the side, asking, wondering when you're going to get in next? Because if you're doing that, it's over. You're not getting in the game, right? And this is, I'm sharing, again, my philosophy right here. And a lot of coaches are going to have similar philosophies. Maybe some are different, right? But you need to be engaged in the game. You need to be engaged for your teammates. You need to get excited when they do something well, right? Not everyone's going to have a kind of a booming personality, so to speak, and yelling, but you can clap, right? You can, say, I see you with your eyes and just your energy, that your presence, that you are there. You are supporting your teammates. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is trust, right? We just talked about trust, building trust with our teammates. But what about building trust with our coach? How do you think we do that? Right? We do that by doing the little things. And again, I'm going to talk in basketball terms because that is what I know. Obviously, I played baseball as well, so I could probably bring in a couple examples, but we'll see. What I really want you to think about is I want you to ask yourself, right? Why should coach trust me to play? Because I don't think athletes ask themselves that. They just want to play. Of course you want to play. Who doesn't want to play? Who wants to sit the bench? I've sat the bench before. I sat the bench my entire senior year of high school. I've sat the bench before my freshman year, my sophomore year. But you know what? I learned a lot of life lessons that I just, I'll share a story. My senior year, I worked my tail off to make the team. That was my goal, pretty much, to make the team. Once I made the team, I stopped putting in that extra effort to get more play time. I would bring good energy in practice. I kind of just accepted my role as a bench player, right? I just accepted it. But if you're someone that doesn't want to accept that, you want play time, then you got to really work for it. You got to have conversations. You have to earn your coach's trust. So how do you earn your coach's trust? Number 1, you can't turn over the basketball. You have to make smart plays. You have to hustle, play hard on defense, and you have to know the plays, right? At the end of the game, right, we want players who are going to execute what we ask of in practice, right? There should be no coach that should be asking you to do anything differently that you haven't done in practice, because that would not be fair to you or the coach or the team, because that is not proper preparation. But for the most part, right, you should understand what the principles are and what you're doing and how to execute them, right? And if you get playtime, let's say you're like an 8th, 9th, 10th man on a team. If you get playtime, right, and when you go in, you turn the ball over, you have bad body language, you're not playing any defense, well, guess what? You're done. You're not playing anymore. Are you serious? Right? And you're going to ask for more playtime? Like, as a coach, I got to trust you out there. And if you're not, right, I don't mind if you're going to make a mistake and then hustle back, right? But it's the body language. It's how you play that just makes such a big difference. And it drives me crazy when people, they ask, they're like, Coach, I want playtime, but they have horrible body language. They're not contributing to the team outside of like wanting to chuck up shots for themselves, right? What's your shot selection? Are you taking good shots? Or are you taking selfish shots because you want to score more points, right? And so that's what I'm going to finish and wrap this up with, is there is so many more ways that you can impact a championship culture than scoring. You need to get out of your mind that your value and your worth is points per game. That is crap, all right? That is even college coaches are not going to necessarily look at your points per game unless they're looking for a scorer, right? You have to know your role. There are going to be scorers on the team, right? But that may not be your role. Execute your role to perfection. I'm going to tell you right now, coaches need players that play defense. They need players that are going to rebound, do the little things, hustle, right? We want to play those players. We're going to play those players. And you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do that? That's how you're going to get playtime. And that's why you need to subscribe to this channel and this podcast if you are listening, because I know you want more playtime. More playtime is essential, right, to impacting the game more. There's a lot you can do on the bench, right? I feel like I brought a lot of value my senior year by being an energy guy, consistently in practice and in games, right? I was the first one off the bench high-fiving people. It didn't matter. It's not about you, right? The more you make it about you, the less you make it about the team. It's about the team, and I understand. Everyone wants to shoot the last shot. Everyone wants to get buckets, but you have to understand what your role is on the team and how you can excel and thrive in that role. So Thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure, again, you share this with a friend who you feel like would get a lot out of this episode. I post these episodes every Friday where I share my wisdom as a coach with, parents, coaches, but really it's to transform athletes. And this one was very athlete directed. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, weekend, night, evening, whenever you are listening to this. Coach Furtado out.